Hello and welcome. Good to see you all back. So, hope everyone's studying is going well. Yeah, I'm kind of having some weird technical things going on. Okay, I figured out it's kind of crazy there. I had actually the record only version of Restream opened or function. I had that open as well as the streaming version, so I was hearing myself twice. So that was kind of crazy. So that's all straightened out. So thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, so it was really weird. I don't like hearing my voice to begin with, and when I have things working right, I don't hear my voice, and so that was kind of a weird thing. So thanks everyone for joining. Good to see some folks back. A little less people than usual. I didn't really tweet out about the stream tonight. I was kind of on the fence about whether to do that or not. So I was going to see. Actually, is asking since Kimberly's on tonight. I was going to see if you wanted to join me tonight. I know it's kind of last minute. Oh, Don's on too. So BMT 626. So good. Starting to see some more people come in on here. So that's great. So good to see that. Yeah, it's kind of the stuff. Yeah, I've been using Restream because I like it better than Streamlabs OBS or OBS Studios because it's so much easier to go between if I want to stream as Pwn School or stream as myself. Hey Don, good to see you on. So it's easier to set up different profiles and stuff and switch back and forth between. Yeah, actually, I did not talk about. Oh, District 214 in Chicago. Nope, I did not talk about that. Not familiar with that. I must have missed that. It was the news or something. So, at any rate, went to Texas Cyber Summit last week. So that was a lot of fun. Rickrolled 11,000 students. Okay. I think I may have seen something about that. Now that you mentioned, I appreciate a good Rickroll. It's kind of funny. One of my former supervisors from Dallas College, I Rickrolled him a couple of times, and now I created a monster because he's turned around every few weeks or once a month or something, and Rickrolls me. So I created a monster. Yeah, I was using OBS. Oh, so I haven't used OBS Live. Yeah, that's interesting. I used Streamlabs OBS and then OBS Studios, and I just kind of like Restream because it's kind of a little bit easier to set up. So, at any rate, spoke at Texas Cyber Summit last weekend. I had a new talk on building a cloud-based pen testing platform because when you're doing external pen tests, you need a cloud hosted system, or either you need to set up a system where you're going through using a VPN to give you an outside view or connection. Thank you. Outside connection of that infrastructure. So you're doing external pen tests, and consulting companies do this a lot. Freelancers will either run a VPS in the cloud to do pen testing. So Pwn Munchers shared a link there. See what it is. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. So, any rate, I gave that talk there. It was basically showing people how to set up a cloud-based infrastructure for performing external pen tests. And this is kind of a good thing for people that are doing bug bounty or freelance pen testing. It gives you a so yeah. Now, Pawn Muncher, I'm gonna be scared to click on any links you give me for now and now. So yeah, I've been rickrolled for the first time on the stream, thanks to one of my moderators, Pawn Muncher. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Don knows who I'm talking about. A former coworker. I've worked with him 2 places. Worked with him in Dallas College, so he knows who I was mentioning that rickrolled me. That I rickrolled several times, and he's had a better success rate of rickrolling me lately. So gave the talk there. Got to meet some people that I hadn't met in person before. Got to see Shane, his wife Teresa from Innocent Lives Foundation. So it was good to see them. Hence the new Innocent Lives Foundation T-shirt I got. So I've got several. So this is another new one to add to the T-shirt pile or collection. So that, along with some other conference T-shirt and some others. But yeah, it was a good time. It was in San Antonio. We got to see the Day of the Dead parade. They took the river boats there in San Antonio, and they decorated them up with lights and people in costumes and stuff. It was really pretty cool. So that was a fun deal. The coordinator of the conference founder and coordinator, actually got us set up on the Riverwalk, because from what I understand, it was like a paid thing. If you're on the Riverwalk, you're buying tickets or whatever. You can see it from different areas or whatever, probably from restaurants and stuff. But they did like a VIP and speaker dinner, and we all got to sit on right next to the river and watch the parade, which was a lot of fun. Got to meet some people that I recently met, and HUSETCon that we met for the first time in person. Some students from Texas A&M from their cybersecurity club. So that was a lot of fun. Got to meet Ira Winkler too. So I don't know if those you hadn't heard of him, he's pretty well known in the industry. He's a CISO, has wrote several books, keynote speaker at conferences and stuff. So I got to meet him. That was pretty cool. First time I saw him speak was at HUSETCon in 2019. And so it was really kind of, what really impressed me is he knew who I was, which kind of surprised me. Joseph, the conference coordinator, introduced Ira to me, and he says, "I know this guy." He's all over the place. So that was kind of cool to be recognized by an industry legend like that. So that was pretty cool. So it was a lot of fun. So my next talk at a conference in person is going to be at North Texas ISSA conference coming up Friday of next week. So I'm looking forward to that. They asked me to give my pen tester blueprint talk there. So I'm planning to make some updates to it. There's some different resources I plan to add that based on some of the different conference talks I've given and some of the AMAs that I've done, as well as some of the new content that's come out, some of the new courses and new certifications out there of recent. So some things there I plan to share some updated information for folks. So it'd be kind of a 3-year anniversary edition, because I gave the pen tester blueprint talk for the first time in around this time in 2018. So that was the first time I gave the talk. And so I kind of plan to do a 3-year anniversary version of it, do some updates to it. So looking forward to that. And also for Innocent Lives Foundation, is that what you're asking, Kimberly? It's actually, I think I have a Let's see. I don't know if I update or not, but I've got a link that I will share here. I did have I need to go back and make sure because they redid our links a while back because they have a hero program, which is reoccurring donations. And then they have there you go. So that used to, they had reoccurring donations and one-time donations on two separate pages, and they combined those. So they redid the website. I did have a link on here for, let's see, for friends. I'm going to see if okay, that was just for ILF. That wasn't for my donations. Oh, for the next talk, I'm thinking it's going to be, from what I understand, I think it's buy tickets online. Yeah, so it's a hybrid event, but the speaker is in person. So I will share that link here. So I wasn't sure what you're talking about, but there you go. One of the things I like about the conference there, they host it at Collin College in the Plano, Frisco area. They got campuses in Plano, Frisco, and I think maybe some other campuses. But at any rate, the cool thing is the ISSA, North Texas ISSA, donates money to the college, and I think like the last time it was in person, they donated like $30,000, and this is kind of money that they've kind of raised over the years too. I think it's not just for the conference. Maybe it could be the conference. I'm not 100% sure, but they do make a big donation to the college, so they're putting money back into education, which is awesome. So that is that. So I got a virtual conference talk tomorrow, but it's for a financial services conference. So that one you have to be working for a financial institution to attend that one. So I'm speaking there with someone from Synac, Jeremiah Rowe. Actually had him as a guest on here on the stream a while back from Synac. So we're co-presenting a talk there. So that'll be interesting. And then I've got a talk for Pentest Hackfest coming up for SANS, which it's coming up pretty soon. See if I got that on my calendar. So that's coming up pretty soon. And the virtual event, I believe, I'm pretty sure that's free. Actually, a hybrid event this time because it's in person. So it is in person and virtual. So I'll be virtual. They kind of ask some people, but just just kind of limiting my travel. Especially when it includes flight. Okay, so got the link coming up here. So I'm doing a talk there on how to get pen testing experience to get a job. I'm actually doing less talks this year than last year. Last year, I presented talks or workshops at 28 different conferences. Some of those I gave a talk and a workshop, two talks or two workshops, just like RowdyCon that's put on by University of Texas at San Antonio. I did like two talks for them last year. There's other conferences that I gave two workshops. So this year I've spent more time on people's podcasts and still doing quite a bit of stuff at conferences. That along with the podcasts and stuff and streaming. So there's a lot more on that stuff this year. The podcast, I've been on more of those probably than all the years combined. But so I see Scorp Vane has joined us. Good to see you on. So I actually got to meet Scorp Vane in person at Texas Cyber Summit. So that was really cool to get to hang out. Got to meet some other people. My good friend Darren Freddy, he gave his first conference talk there. He did a great job. Darren's gave presentations to, in board meetings and pen test readout or exit meetings or debriefing meetings, whatever term you want to use for it. So he's done those over the years and has presented a few times at local meetups, but done a lot of stuff in his IT career, presenting to different groups and different, uh, you know, parts of IT and security. So he's not a stranger to presenting, but this was his first conference talk and he did a great job. So it was really cool to see that. And he's one of the things he kind of wanted to get into and looking forward to him doing more of that. So he's got excited. He had a good experience and he's looking to try to find more conferences and stuff to speak at. So that should be pretty cool. And also tomorrow for those in the Dallas Fort Worth area, we've got Dallas Hackers Association tomorrow. So I will be giving a fire talk there. I haven't presented there in a while, but for those of you on here listening, uh, I'm actually giving a demo, like I kind of gave a demo here, a little short demo on using Snap Labs to do set up a home lab. So that is what I'll be doing tomorrow. So looking forward to that. It's been since 2019, I believe, was the last time I gave a talk there. I think it was my reversing education talk because I actually give that presentation on here a while back too. So that was the last time I did it. And so I haven't done much local as far as speaking. So looking forward to that. And fire talks, for those of you that aren't familiar with fire talks, they're usually talks that are like 10 to 15 minutes in length. So at DHA, those talks usually run, I guess they have talks for about 2 hours. So they have several people presenting, and there's been a lot of people that's kind of got their start presenting at Dallas Hackers Association in our area, like Tinkersec. For those of you that are familiar with Tinkersec on Twitter, he got whenever he joined Dallas Hackers, first started attending, he wasn't a co-host. He was just an attendee, and he was a IT recruiter when he first met. So just kind of another one of these success stories to show people that if you're wanting to get into pen testing or other areas of security, people come from a lot of different areas, just like on my podcast. For those of you that don't have the link, there's a link to a podcast. So yeah, I've had some really good conversations and got some great podcasts coming up. As always, the guests I have are pretty good and they have good stories. Uh, got Ray Bango coming up on this Friday. After that, I've got Chris Hadnaggy. Yesterday I interviewed Jason Haddix, and also yesterday I interviewed the blind hacker Joe Brinkley. So some other people that I haven't recorded yet that I got coming up is I've got scheduled to record a podcast with John Hammond today. Thanks to my good buddy Don for making the connection there. So John is going to be on the podcast. I got Jeremiah Rowe come up. So there's a lot of people. I'm down to where I got to come up with about 2 more guests, and I'll be done with the recordings until the end of December. I plan on doing more recordings more frequently throughout November. So December will be kind of a down month for me. I'll have a little more rest during that time with all the podcasting and conferences and streaming and stuff. You kind of start to get on the edge of burnout. And so once I get those recorded, then the speaking stuff will slow down. And so pretty much the only thing going on is the stream. And so it'll be kind of slow and get to kind of rest up for the first of the year. So yeah, Whiskey Neon was one of the attends there. He's been a co-host for years there. And that mainly one of the main purpose AV, he does some awesome AV work. And so one of the things too, for those that have wanted to be able to subscribe to my podcast only before, you had to subscribe to all of the magazine, ISTP magazine podcast, you couldn't subscribe to individual shows. Now you can. So that's kind of an improvement. I know some of the people that I know that like the show said, asked, why can't you just subscribe to particular shows? And so ITSP magazine was nice enough to get that set up for me. So that was good. So Dark Matterson, I was thinking of a hackerspace. Now he used to be part of the Whiskey Neon, used to be like involved with the makerspace hackerspace that we have here. Cause you have some maker spaces that's all like woodworking and that sort of stuff and different welding. Whereas, some of the hacker spaces is more on the technology side. So programming, you know, Raspberry Pis and security related topics and programming and all that. So that's kind of but yeah, he was part of that. So yeah, it's been some good podcasts and had some good guests on. I've been really happy with the folks we've been able to get on here. But Jason Haddix, it was good to interview him. I met Jason through in person through Bug Crowd when I was an ambassador, but I first found out about Jason through uh, Don Donzel's uh, Ethical Hacker Network. That was one of the first resources I used as far as like online communities. I had Don's resource, and there was another certification forum because back then, you know, Discord wasn't around and Slack wasn't around, so you had a lot of more of the forums and message boards. And so Don's community is how I found out about Jason Haddix, and then we got to meet in person. So that was pretty cool. We've remained friends since then. So be able to interview him, that was a lot of fun. So that will be coming out. I'll have the schedule for that. I kind of tweeted about the order of that earlier, and also there's a post that ITSP magazine shared online to show the different guests. So the list, I have like a specific list coming up, but that should be really good. And for any of you that are interested in social engineering, Chris Hadnagy's episode is good, and then he really goes in. We really discussed the Innocent Lives Foundation a lot, so you kind of get to hear the story of how it started and stuff. So that was really cool. And the episode with Ray has done a lot of different trainings because he was making the transition at Microsoft from being a developer to cybersecurity, and he got to take a lot of courses on security. So he's taken, I think, several different SANS courses. He's taken offensive security courses. So he's taken a lot of stuff. So he's got some good information to share about some of the courses he's taken, and I think that will be helpful. And some of his recommendations are really good as well. And this is coming from someone that's taken a lot of training. He not just one or two vendors, but he has taken a lot of different training. So I think you will find value in that. So yeah, the list of the podcast is Ray on Friday, Chris Hadnagy Friday of next week, and the Blind Hacker the week after that, and then Jason Haddix. So that's kind of the order of that. And so if anyone has any recommendations or stuff, please let me know. So Don says, speaking of old friends, I was going through boxes in the garage and found a business card from Chris Hadnagy when he was still OffSec. Yeah, that's one of the cool things about the episode with Chris. He kind of tells about how he got into pen testing, and that was a pretty interesting story that I was not aware of. Don knows, probably knows that story because he knows Chris worked at Offensive Security. So Dark Matter said, any news from Wirefall on Telesploit? He's been still going strong with it. He's more and more customers are using his platform to do external pen tests. So Dark Matter, are you in the area, or you just know of Wirefall from Twitter? So yeah, he's been pretty busy with that. I would, it's I think it's oh, you're in Dallas, okay. Are you going to DHA tomorrow night? Okay. Every 3 months before COVID. Yeah, okay, I see, I see. Yeah, for those that are unaware, Dallas Hackers requires you to be vaccinated and wear masks. Uh, and that's, they're trying to make it a safe environment for people. So uh, that's being enforced. So yeah, if anyone ever gets a chance, you're ever in Dallas the first Wednesday of the month, it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah, there's some people in the community too that have families with immune disorders, so they're just trying to be careful. Yeah, you'll have to check out DHA next time you're up here at Scorpion. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's like a mini conference. I mean, I can't express how cool the environment is. We've got some really, we've got Tinker Sec, that's one of the co-hosts, then along with Wirefall, the founder, and then we've got they have Fire Talks, and I mentioned earlier the premise of Fire Talks, and then they have usually like a lock pick village or lock sport where they get lock picking to learn lock how to pick locks, and CTFs. I think they got the CTF going again. Uh, there for a while, they didn't have anyone hosting the CTF, so it's like a mini conference each month. Really great place to network. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of an intimate setting, and the thing is though is it's kind of, I think it's getting back up close to the 100 range, but there's been, back before the pandemic, there was at least 100 people per night showing up, usually like 130. I think it's probably approached 200 at points. There's actually been people come up from Mexico. Dallas Hackers was featured in Popular Mechanics a few years ago, back in 2019. I believe, no, it was 2018, maybe towards the end of 2018. Popular Mechanics did an article on Mobius that run the Lockpick Village, because she was included in an article because the Girl Scouts start offering a cybersecurity badge, and Mobius went and taught lockpicking for their group as part of their badge. And she told Popular Mechanics, "Hey, you should do an interview with Dallas Hackers Association." So Dallas Hackers Association, was featured in an article in Popular Mechanics, and the title was saying, "If you wanted to be a hacker, go to Dallas." And so that article went out, and someone flew up from Mexico to attend Dallas Hackers. This person did not have a Twitter account before then. They came to Dallas Hackers Association. They have a Twitter account, and was really excited about it. So it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of it was an inspiration of Austin Hackers Association. So Austin Hackers Association was the original, and it was just basically Fire Talks. And the first meeting you went to at Austin Hackers Association, you didn't have to give a talk, but after the next time you showed up, you had to give a fire talk. So they were really uh, adamant about that, and some people were kind of intimidated by that, and they wouldn't do that. So, or some people might not show up again. But Dallas Hackers doesn't really force people, but they ask people to present. Just for them to get the experience, and share, and it's good to get the speaking experience. So that's kind of where it started. And there's been some other groups like Pittsburgh Hackers Association, and I think there may be one in New York that kind of were inspired by Dallas Hackers Association. But and then there's other ones that are inspired by Austin Hackers Association, just like Dallas Hackers Association was. Yeah, so it's the article featured Tinker, showed the back of Commander or someone else's head. It actually it showed Init 6 was the main picture, the main photo. Init 6 from our community was the one they took a picture of. And actually the pictures were from my Pwn School meeting, because Dallas Hackers does not allow people to take pictures in the venue. It's kind of a privacy thing, just to try to preserve privacy and stuff. Some groups can get pretty hardcore about not allowing photos, but it was taken at a Pone School meeting because Knit Six was presenting there, so they did the photos and stuff there. Yeah, Commander's wedding. Yeah, that was the only one. Commander and Mobius got married there. So yeah, that was like one of the only times. So that was pretty cool. That was back. That was in 2019. So Commander used to run the CTF, and Mobius ran the Lockpick Village, and so they had their wedding there, which was pretty cool. And I think actually Wirefall. I'm trying to think if Wirefall officiated the wedding or not. I'm trying to remember if that was the case, but it was a pretty cool event. So this was like after the fire talks and stuff. They did their wedding, so it was pretty cool event. But this, Dallas Hackers, a lot of uh, speaking careers or careers in general have been launched through that group. I mean, Tinker Sec was an IT recruiter when he started going there. There's someone who goes under the handle Uber Kitten, and Uber Kitten did a talk on QR code hacking, and so he did a talk on that, and he gave it several places. I think he ended up giving it at DEF CON, so that really launched his speaking career. Rainmaker, another one of our members works for. Trying to think of who he works for now, but he started kind of giving talks there, and so it's pretty interesting to see some of the people that come through the community have given talks there. And actually, Tim Medine, he lives in Texas, and he's been to Dallas Hackers Association, has given some talks there. Jason Street's been there a couple times. And Jason shared with us one time his story about how he hacked the wrong bank when he was doing a pen test in Lebanon. He's given that talk at some conferences and stuff, but he shared that, so that was pretty cool. Yes, he was in Darknet Diaries, and actually, there's a couple other people from the community. They're one of the ones about Colombia or Cuba when the consultant went down there. That's someone else from our local community. The one I think had Raven in the title. He lives up in Denton, where I do my DC 940 meetings. Jedi Mammoth, he was featured in one of the Darknet Diaries. So we got at least 3 people from our community that have been in Darknet Diaries. So yeah, it's pretty. So I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of when things got started back up. Dallas Hackers, I think their first meeting back was April of this year, I believe, April or May, and I went to the first meeting back, and it was a lot of fun because we hadn't seen, people hadn't seen each other in a long time, even in the local community. Wirefall and I would get together for like socially distance, meetups. We would go meet at a park somewhere and talk, but a lot of people I hadn't seen since 2019, so it was cool to see a lot of those people. And I went to a few meetups, but then there was kind of like a couple meetups in a row that I just really didn't want to go out in a big crowd. It's like at the end of the day, I was kind of tired, and just so uh, went to some went to a couple conferences in person, and so motivated to do the in-person meetups again. Was running my Pone School meeting in Denton. Now it's DC 940 was doing those, but now um, I've kind of gotten back into the desire to go to the different meetups again. So hence I'm presenting it at DHA tomorrow night. It's funny how long I went to DHA. I was a member of DHA, let's see, for 2 years before I presented the first time. So they really want everyone to present. And so then I didn't present again until like 2019, I guess it was. So actually, I think I've actually presented there like 3 times. So kind of looking forward to tomorrow, and it's kind of nice. I'm just kind of showing people snap labs, so we really don't have to have a structured presentation, which is kind of nice. So anyone seeing anything cool out there? Any new news or anything? Any new tools? And it was kind of interesting getting to see the new Macs and stuff. That was pretty cool. The new Macs that are coming out. Hey, Lord Caffeine. Thanks for joining us. I think I saw you on here earlier, but another one of our community members. Guess I could reference Mobius wedding night too, but would that be doxing? Well, if you mention their wedding, them at DHA, that's not really doxing because you're not really giving anyone's name out. I've actually got 2 fairly new ones, and I can kind of kick myself because uh, it was kind of interesting because they've come out with a little bit faster processors. And one of the things that I was kind of disappointed with the M1 Max, the Mac Mini, and the MacBook Pro, that they only came with 16 gigs of memory, but it's unified memory, meaning it's all on the same processor, on the same chip, with your CPU, your GPU, all that's contained on one chip. And so it's you basically your bus speeds are going to be much faster because it's on the chip opposed to being on a motherboard. So it's pretty fast, but the thing about it is that you didn't need as much memory. So 16 gigs, and it works pretty well. They've done some comparisons to some of the like the i9 MacBook Pro, and it performed well against that. And so uh, I had like a MacBook Pro I'd updated because part of my reasoning was getting it was for doing mobile pen tests, because now you can run iOS apps on a Mac. And so pen testing iOS apps, that would make it easier. And I got that Mac and I was doing a mobile pen test for an iOS app. And then I found out that you have to set the compatibility within the app so it runs on Mac OS too. So the app I was testing to do that. So I really didn't get to check that out. But that's part of the reason I went with the Mac. I kept my old MacBook Pro i9 Intel processor with 32 gigs of RAM, and I was going to kind of start using it for streaming. So I decided to go to the Mac M1. So the Mac M1 Mini is what I use for my streaming and stuff now. So they weren't expensive. If you get like the Mac Mini and the MacBook Pro that I got weren't that expensive. But I kind of like Macs, and part of the reason I like Macs is they're Unix based systems and they're pretty stable. So the first Mac I got was during my first pen test job. I was consulting and I had a Mac, and when I left that company, I didn't want to lose my skills with Mac, so I bought my first MacBook Pro, and actually I'm on my third MacBook Pro, and then I've got this Mac Mini. So I kind of wanted my streaming stuff, all my cameras and stuff hooked up to one thing, not constantly removing. And if I wanted to take my Mac downstairs and work on the couch, I don't have to unplug all my cameras and stuff. So, but yeah, Mini was a good price, and the MacBook Pro really wasn't too bad because I mean, I think $1,300, $1,200 or $1,300 was how much the Pro with 16 gigs of RAM cost, the more expensive of the two. Yeah, it's a BSD like system, but the problem is if there was more software written for BSD, free BSD or open BSD or Linux, more people will go to it. I mean, Ubuntu is like one of my favorite Linux distributions if they only made software to work on it. So if they made comparable software, so all of the different graphics software and stuff like that, if they made it to run on Ubuntu, then that would be my choice. I would just get Intel hardware and run Ubuntu on it. And then you got those System 32 machines that come with their try to remember what they call their version of Linux. It's basically a fork of the Ubuntu that they use on a System 32. Pony probably knows what I'm talking about. The operating system. I can't think of it right now. Pop OS. That's it. And System 76. That is correct for the hardware. Yeah, the Apple Towers. Those are pretty cool. Or people used to call them the cheese graters. But those are pretty interesting. Yeah, that's where I've really been interested to see what they're going to do next with those Macs, like the towers and stuff. The regular Mac Pros, not the MacBook Pros. The Mac Pros are like the tower. Look interesting to see what they do with that, because now the processors are, because they got the Mac Pro and the Macs. Let's see, Mac Pro and Mac and the Apple Pro and Apple Macs. They're using kind of the same terminology as they did for the phones. So it'd be interesting to see. Cool. So how do you like Pop OS? And how's it compared to Ubuntu? Because from what I understand, it's designed from Ubuntu or Debian. So yeah, I'd be interested to see that at some time. Pop OS. I think you can just download it and install on whatever too. I think you can install it on other hardware as well. But it's interesting too that how more common Unix was at one time, and you can Don can attest to that. Used to, I know from my AutoCAD days, there used to be an AutoCAD version that wouldn't run on Unix, and that was Unix, not Linux. They had some uh, different Unix versions because back when I was doing AutoCAD, that was kind of Linux hadn't been around too long because it came out late 90s, maybe around 95 or so, but it hadn't been around that long. But yeah, you had Unix versions of AutoCAD. So it's kind of disappointing to see that go away, because then you had some of the high end, like Silicon Graphics computers, which I think probably ran Unix. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I have to see that sometime. I'd be interested in seeing what Pop OS looks like. Yeah, Mac and One is like obey me or else, but Rosetta fitting seems to be fast prior to Macintels. Yeah, it's the only problems I've really seen with it. And for anyone that's wanting to run Intel based VMs, it can be a real pain. So you can only, currently you can only run ARM based distributions VMs. So you can download like the ARM version of Kali Linux and run that, but you can't run 64 to 32 bit VMs on your system. So that's kind of a problem with that. But if you're just using Kali Linux to pen test stuff, then that works fine, because you can have your VM on there and test, other systems outside of your hardware. So, Pony, are you going to DHA tomorrow night? Or did Pony Liver take off on us? I think he was here earlier. Yeah, I had Callie on a Raspberry Pi, because it's been probably about 2013 or so. I got a Raspberry Pi because they came out with, uh, okay, Pony isn't in. For some reason, I thought I saw him on there, but guess not. But yeah, had that set up, and at the same time too, they used to have some little Android TV devices that I got one of those to install because they had the version of Kali Linux to run Raspberry Pis, and they had a version that would run on the Android TV devices, and I ended up bricking my device trying to install Kali Linux on it. So it was really that's one cool talk that I'd kind of totally missed at Texas Cyber Summit because I spend too much time networking and stuff. But someone did a talk on using Google Docs as a C2 for command and control. That would have been interesting, but I missed it. So I'm going to have to look for the recording and check that out. Does Kali Net Hunter run smoothly on a VM? You would have to probably. I haven't tried it on a VM, but I would assume you may have to. If you would have to have something that would virtualize, like mobile phone environments, so be able to have a VM for the different mobile platforms that run NetHunter. Because they have some of those different emulators and things like that. You could probably run it. Thinking of mobile devices and that sort of thing. I remember Tinker was working on a project to make a phone, an open source phone, bought like the hardware and installed Linux on it, was working on building the phone. Yeah, but one of the things with Android is there's like some emulators too that you can run emulators, so you can run NetHunter on it. Well, that's interesting that Windows 11 is supposed to support. That kind of makes sense that they have that. Interesting they do that since I don't even know if you can get Windows phones anymore. So they had something else that would run in there. What was that Scorp vein you talked about? Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Tinker was working on it a while back. I don't know what he did with that. But yeah, I saw that. Think speaking of phones, I hadn't seen. They had something out for a while that they were calling the block phone. That was like a modular phone, and you can update the different components of it. So, like you had a phone and you wanted to upgrade the camera, you could upgrade that individually. But I hadn't seen much of that lately. So yeah, it's hard to believe that the year is almost over with. It's pretty amazing that here it is, November already. Stay Blazing says, I'm thinking about joining Battleship. Anything you recommend to do before getting a mentor? Uh, I would recommend before you go out and get a mentor, find one that will mentor you for free. Because if I'm not mistaken, Battleship charges for mentorship. I was doing mentoring for them for a while, and I think they were charging 75 or $100 a month. I think it was $100 a month for mentors, for someone to mentor you, and then people like myself, we mentor for free. They were just kind of the middleman. Uh, okay, let's see. Okay, there is a hashtag that, making sure I get the right hashtag. Okay, so if you can use this hashtag on Twitter on Mondays. Cyber Mentor Monday. They used to be hashtag Mentor Monday, but uh, Tanya Janik ended up doing the hashtag Cyber Mentor Monday, so that way it'd be easier to sort it out from other types of mentor needs. So I would do that. I would look for a free mentor, because I think with Battleship, the money that people pay is supposed to cover the platform they use and that kind of thing. So I would, you know, I would look for a mentor outside of those type of programs, because sometimes, if you work, when I mentor people, uh, it's not like super structured, because some people want to text you and ask you questions. Some people want a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly call to discuss stuff. So, and even someone had mentioned a while back too, if you're looking for mentors, you know, have several mentors, have different people you can talk to get information from. So I am pretty busy, but anytime you have questions, reach out. I always answer questions. If I don't, it's because I missed it, but I'm pretty good about following up with people, especially during the weekdays. Sometimes on the weekends I kind of get busy, or I try to get away from the keyboard, because sometimes you can, overdo it and start to get burnt out. And so there's times that I have to get away from social media, which was one of the good things about Texas Cyber Summit. I was socializing with people, but I got away from my phone and not using it as much, and that was kind of a nice break. But yeah, feel free to send me DMs and stuff. I'm happy to help out. That's a good point there. Good, Don shared some good advice. Discord server is a great place to find people, get free advice. Yep. Let's see. I'm reluctant to try to get a mentor because I feel someone else might deserve their attention more than me. For me, it's I mentor several people, or answer questions for several people. So feel free to reach out. Don't ever, you know, if you put blocks up that's preventing you from talking to a mentor. So talk to people. Some people have more time than others. I stay pretty busy, and there's some people that wanting to mentor and help people. But as Don said, uh, Discord's a good place there. Just ask questions and stuff, because there's been times I've had people reach out to me for mentoring, and it took answering a few questions, and they had some things they needed to do what they wanted. So dark matter. Sorry, could we talk about this elsewhere, Philip? I don't know what you're talking about. What, the mentoring? Yeah, so feel free to reach out. I'm always usually pretty quick to reply back. Oh, I got you. I see what you're saying. I need to get some guests lined up soon for another one for the streams. I've talked to a few people, so we have to see about doing that. I may do like I did once. I had Ghost, Cyber Lola, and Scorp Vein on here. Just kind of they were on here discussing I was really impressed because the three of them were really working hard, taking classes, doing self-study, and Scorp Vein has been doing self-study, hack the box, or try hack me outside of her formal college education. So I was really impressed with the three of them. And so I had them on to talk about what they were doing and stuff. So sometimes when you're trying to get advice from people, don't count out the advice of those people just getting started or someone that just broke into the industry, because sometimes people that just broke into the industry, they've got a lot of good information to share because they just recently got there. Their journey into cybersecurity is fresh and they can share it. Not to rule out people that's been in the industry for a while, but you kind of learn some of the new stuff. And that's like when people talk about sharing information, no matter how much experience you have, always feel comfortable sharing information with others, because someone just starting out, you can find tools that I haven't heard of yet. I've been doing this X amount of years. I use these certain tools and depend on them. Sometimes I miss some of the new stuff. So share that kind of stuff. It's good to learn from each other. Because whenever I was going through the OSCP, kind of down towards the end or halfway through the OSCP, I found some study partners. So there was like three other people and myself that we shared information about different tools and techniques and stuff we learned and kind of helped each other out. It was very helpful. So having study partners and just kind of getting help from your peers is a good thing too. Okay, so Lord Caffeine says that's what he's doing. He's taking preparation courses for certifications free, plus the online course he takes free. So that's good. Yeah, it's kind of hard to guess what people want all the time. But that's one of the things too is, if you don't have the soft skills, it's good to kind of work on those things. Because one of the best things I did when I went back and got my degree, and that was kind of wow, I started my degree in 2001 and finished it in 2002. I had two MCSEs, the MCSE 4, MCSE 2000, had NetWare CNE, I had Cisco CCNA, I also had the CISSP. So I only had to take one technical class for my degree, which was I ended up taking like Microsoft Access was the class I took. But I took some other classes. I took English composition and a speech class, and the English composition class was the best thing I took because I still use that in my report writing. And because when I was in high school, I didn't really work hard on in my English class, and my writing skills were really lacking. But the English composition class helped my writing skills a lot. So Cal Echo says, I've heard collective knowledge described as a bubble in in order for expansion to happen, a single point needs to be collaborative for the whole community to grow. That sounds like good information there. But that's the thing too. You have one of the things with that one of these groups, you got to be communicating and stuff, because there's been some teams I've been on for pen testing that people really didn't talk or share things. So you really have to collaborate to make it work out. And being part of groups where you've got something that you're on a Discord or you're somewhere where you can share notes and documents and stuff and not just depend on verbal communication. Well, we are down towards the end of the show. Thanks everyone for joining. It was great hanging out with you all. Thanks for spending part of your evening with me, and look forward to seeing you all next time. And we'll try to have some guests on. There's a couple people I've been talking to, so I just saw someone's message late because hey Jason, because I wasn't monitoring my restream, because I get messages off. I stream on YouTube as well too. So thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate it. And if you ever have any questions and stuff, feel free to reach out to me, because if you don't have not connected with me on social media, time you need it while we're on here, if you just type exclamation point socials, then you can get my information there. And if you go on Twitter, I've got a link tree link for my URL in there that's got all the stuff that I do, my podcast and all that too. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.